Chris McGovern, President and CEO here at Presh Marketing Solutions. Today I'm going to walk you through the process of creating an effective LinkedIn ad within the LinkedIn Campaign Manager platform. Specifically, we're going to walk through the steps of creating the lead gen format ad, which we're finding has a very high quality lead rate at an increasingly low cost per lead. We're going to walk you through step by step, show you what to do, how to set it up, and ultimately how to track the success of your campaign. All right, let's get started. First step is to obviously go to linkedin.com. From here, you're actually going to go over to the work section. Click advertise, and you'll be brought to the marketing solutions portion within LinkedIn. Up here in the top right corner, you'll see a button that says create ad. Click this, and this will take you to LinkedIn Campaign Manager. If you're in LinkedIn Campaign Manager a lot and you're running a large amount of ads, we recommend bookmarking this as you're going to be going here quite often, and you can bypass this first couple steps. From the LinkedIn Campaign Manager page, click your account, and then you'll be brought to the overall campaign overview section. This page actually shows you a grouping of campaigns. So if you have a different way that you want to measure certain types of ads versus others, or say it's a specific initiative that you want to track the overall results for, or any type of grouping that has a set aside budget for it as a whole, this is where you want to have an individual campaign group versus an individual ad itself. We treat everything on a monthly basis as we have a monthly ad budget for LinkedIn and for other social platforms as well. But that's just how we do it. There's a bunch of different ways that you could obviously group that. Up here in the top left corner, you'll see a button that says create campaign group. If you're creating a new campaign group and you don't have one established, click this button now. You'll be prompted to create a campaign group name. Total budget, start date, and end date for the campaign group. If you don't have an end date and you want to run it indefinitely, and this would be an example of if you have just lead form ads or just sponsor content ads or even just video ads, that's something where you'd want to have it running indefinitely. But for this example, we're going to put an end date of the end of February. Make sure the status is active and click save. You can now go into the campaign group and create your ad. From here, you're going to click the create campaign button in the top left portion of your screen. Select the right group and name your campaign. Under the objective section, this is where you're going to want to click lead generation. If you don't click this, you won't be prompted to create your lead gen form. Now we're going to create the audience that we're targeting for this LinkedIn lead form ad. First step is targeting on a specific location. So if you're a US-based business or you're targeting US-based prospects, you want to make sure that you have United States selected. And an important step here is you want to make sure it says permanent location. So if it was selected under recent location, this would target people who are actually traveling to the United States. But if you're focused on targeting businesses, which most people are if you're using LinkedIn, you want to make sure that we have permanent location selected under this portion. Next, we're going to add new targeting criteria. In our article where we cover this, we talk about the importance of the layering approach under targeting. What this means is we want to make sure we don't have one single target attribute for the overall audience, and we want to layer additional attributes for location, industry, and down to a role and user level in order for this to be most effective. So in this case, we're going to start with the industry that we want to target by clicking company and then company industries. In this case, let's say we're targeting the healthcare space. Now we're going to add additional criteria. And let's say we only want to target SMB and mid-tier healthcare organizations. So we'll say we're going to target organizations that have employees between 51 and 500 employees. And then add additional criteria. Now we're going to actually target the roles within those organizations. So for this example, we're going to target IT professionals within SMB and mid-tier healthcare organizations. We're going to click job experience, job functions, and information technology. Next, we're going to target those individuals that have manager or director level experience within their organization. That way we want to only focus on those that have influencer or decision maker authority for the deal. So here we're going to go to job seniorities, manager, director, and we'll add VP also. Okay, let's go ahead and save that audience. We'll call this education, SMB mid, and IT. Here we have the option to enable audience expansion. This is where LinkedIn will actually expand the overall audience and allow additional users in if it feels like there's going to be more conversions that take place. For this example, we'll say it's a really targeted message, so we're going to go ahead and remove this. Click Save, update existing audience. There we go. Now we're going to move to the ad format section. Here we're determining what the actual ad will look like within the user's newsfeed. So this isn't the form itself. This is just what's going to bring them in to ultimately see the form and see the call to action. For this example, we're going to keep it as a single image ad. Under placement, if this wasn't a lead form ad, we'd have the option to use the LinkedIn Audience Network. This is basically programmatic banner display. LinkedIn has very good targeting functions, and the ability to use their data set to do well planned out programmatic is great. We haven't seen a lot of success with campaigns that have the audience network portion enabled, but that might change. That obviously depends on what the call to action is and what the message is for the individual ad. Now we're going to go down to budget and schedule. Before doing so, we can see the overall audience size for the audience that we've created. So we want to take that in consideration when planning out our budget. For example, if we only had, say, 500 people within the overall audience, we'd want to limit the overall budget to make sure that those individual users don't see the same ad over and over, unless that was the intended purpose. But for this example, we're going to assume this is a good size audience, so we're not going to focus on that. We're going to have an end date of the end of the month. We'll have an automated bid type. Here we can either say have a daily budget or a total budget. We recommend having a total overall budget because the ability for this to continue to run and have not many controls in place for what you're going to spend is somewhat removed when you have a daily budget. We always set in place a total budget, but obviously that's based on your preference. So for this, we'll say it's $1,000 total budget. We'll run through the end of the month. We then say our maximum CPC bid. They'll recommend what that bid amount is, and that's completely based on the audience size, who the audience is. For example, if there's individuals that aren't contacted or aren't served as often as others, the overall cost per click would be significantly less. For those that are targeted for many types of campaigns, think of it as an auction format. The more ads they're targeted for, the higher value they are per click. LinkedIn is going to range anywhere from about $7 to $15 per click. So we can see here the audience we've selected is recommended at $14, and other advertisers are paying about $12.71 to $21.42 per click. So it's a pretty highly targeted group. Obviously, being healthcare IT decision makers, that's pretty common. So we'll leave it at $13.99 and keep it as is. Here, if we had a landing page we were pushing the audience to and the conversion was taking place there, we'd want to make sure we had our pixel set up correctly to track conversions and track leads that came from this campaign. Because the conversion is actually taking place within LinkedIn, we don't need to set this up because the lead form itself will act as the conversion and LinkedIn will track that appropriately. Click Save and Next. Campaign saved. At this point, we're prompted to create the ad. If we had other ads within this campaign group, we'd be able to select those, but because this is a new campaign group, we have to create the new ad. So click Create New Ad here, and we're prompted to create the ad and add all the additional information for it. So in this case, we're going to call it Test Campaign Ad 1. The introductory text is what shows prior to the image and prior to the call to action. Destination URL. This is a little unique because the ad itself is actually not going to take the user to this URL. I'm not 100% sure why LinkedIn has this in place, but what it will do is it'll initially pull in meta description from the page that you're referencing. even though it's not pointing them to that page. So it's kind of interesting, but it is one of the steps current in LinkedIn's current format. So for this example, I pulled in a landing page that we use for one of our campaigns, the digital marketing game plan. And just by typing in that URL, we can see the meta images populated, as well as the meta title, and all that information. Even the meta description from the page, which is what shows up in Google search, is populating here in the description portion. Next, we're going to go to the form details. So this is what's going to pop up when someone clicks on the ad. And like I said, this is pulling up the ad within LinkedIn's platform versus making them leave LinkedIn and go to your page. This creates a pretty seamless experience for the user. Users don't want to have to jump from one platform to another and then go back to LinkedIn if they don't want to convert. So by clicking on the ad, having this landing page essentially pull up within LinkedIn and having all of their information auto-populated based off of their LinkedIn profile, they can essentially convert and become a lead for you all within 2 clicks. First click being to pull up the form, and the second is to actually move forward. We can determine what our call to action is. So if this was downloading a guide, we changed it to download. If it was registering for a webinar, you could change it to register. This doesn't really impact anything outside of what the actual call to action button says and letting the user know what they're doing by taking that next step. If you had other forms created, you can select them here. But in this case, we're going to assume that we don't have any created, and we're going to create a new one. We're going to name our form. This isn't used anywhere externally. This is only for internal reference, so you can use it in the future. We're going to add the offer headline. This is what the user is going to see at the very top of the form. Add any additional details. This is really the last step to tell the user this is what what value they're getting, why they should continue to move forward. Think of this as almost your last sales pitch prior to them converting. See, in real time, the ad will actually populate based off the information you put here, so you can visualize what that ultimate landing page and form is going to look like. The next is you need to include your privacy policy URL. So if you don't have one created, you'll need to do that prior to creating this ad. And this is really important because this is telling the user how you're going to ultimately use their data. Every site should have this in some capacity, and most ad platforms require this to be public for any type of conversion data and any type of actual contact data that you would get from the user from the ad to be shown. One additional step that LinkedIn takes that other ad platforms don't is they require you to tell the user exactly how you're going to use their data from this individual conversion. So the privacy policy tells them about how you use their data as a whole. LinkedIn wants to know how are you going to use their data from this conversion and from this form fill, and that's shown to the user prior to them converting. And you can see where that will show up and what the user is going to see prior to converting. Next, we're going to determine what fields we want to capture. A good rule of thumb here is you don't want to capture too many fields, but with LinkedIn, the big benefit is all this information is auto-populated. So by default, it's going to ask for first name, last name, and email address. If it's a B2B focused campaign, which it most likely is if it's LinkedIn, we recommend choosing company name. We know what the industry is because we were targeting the healthcare industry. So we don't want to select fields on the form that are based off the criteria of the ad targeting itself, because it's really adding to the number of fields, and it can push the user away from converting if there's too much information shown. And it honestly, if we're able to map back from this form within your marketing database where they came from, you really don't need that field. But let's say we want to know their individual title. We determined what roles we want to focus on, but let's say we want to focus on the VP of IT security versus the VP of IT or technology systems as a whole. Obviously, those are similar roles from a departmental standpoint, as well as the role hierarchy, but obviously very different functional roles based off of what they do. So in this case, we'll leave job title, and all of these will auto-populate when they go to this page. So they don't actually have to fill any of that out. It's coming from their LinkedIn profile. If you want to add custom questions or custom checkboxes, you can, but you don't need to, obviously. Here, we're going to create the page that the user sees when they fill out all of their information. So From this page, we can say, thanks for downloading. Click below to get your guide. There we go. The hidden fields section is for any type of integration you would have. So if you're using, say, Zapier to push lead form ads and conversions into your marketing database, so say you have HubSpot as your marketing automation platform, you're able to actually add additional fields to tell HubSpot from a Zapier connection what this form was and what this campaign was. So in this case, let's say we wanted to track the campaign name. We're able to then use this as a field and push that into HubSpot when someone converts, even though they didn't fill this out. This is so we can track campaign source, the actual form itself, even the ad itself if we wanted to. Or if we wanted to say this is targeting the education group or education vertical or even healthcare vertical, we can include that here, even though we didn't ask the user to fill out that information. Okay. Now our ad's created. We can see the ad's actually shown here. There's one final step. So it's still in draft mode. It's real easy to assume everything's running. We've put our budget in, we've created our audience, we've created our ad, we've even created our form. The last important thing is to make sure we click launch campaign. If this is your first time running an ad and you don't have a credit card on file, you'll be prompted to add your payment information at that point in time. LinkedIn bills based off of actual activity. So say you're targeting a very specific group and no one interacts with your ad, you're not going to be charged for anything until someone actually clicks. Their primary way of charging is on a pay-per-click model, but you can also pay per impression if it's a brand reach campaign or a video view campaign. But in this case, it's a pay-per-click campaign. Our card's on file. At this point, all we have to do is click launch campaign. And there we go. We see that shifts over to active. It asks about our experience, and everything's good to go. And now we can see within our reporting section what our bid is, where our campaign is, what the current status is, and overall impressions, clicks, really how the campaign's doing. All conversions and all leads from that lead form will show up under the leads section. Okay, let's recap what we just went through. So LinkedIn's lead gen format ad is a really effective tool to help drive new leads for your business. There's a high quality within the lead itself because the data is actually coming from LinkedIn's platform, and the user only has to click one button in order to actually convert. So it's easy for them, they stay within LinkedIn's platform, which LinkedIn likes, and it's easy for you to set up. Not only is it easy to set up, but it's a pretty low cost per lead from what we're seeing right now. Now, LinkedIn as a whole typically has a really high cost per click, so we're probably gonna see this, probably will go up in costs over time. We're starting to see, ad budgets from Facebook as well as AdWords start to shift over to LinkedIn's platform. So it'll go up eventually, but as of right now, it's a really great opportunity. It's a low cost per lead. And like I said, a very, very high quality lead itself as well. So if you have any questions, need help getting started, leave a comment in the section below. We'll definitely reach out to you. If you have any questions or want to learn about something else here in the coming weeks, definitely let us know as well. All right, thanks. Until next time. Bye.